shot in the corner.
Looks like Sabu is hurt. Sorry.
Oh, Sabu's been hurt for the past 15 years. He's only been wrestling for 10.
Landed on that leg. Spraying off the chair.
Oh, that was nice. Colorado kid didn't see it coming.
Looks like Sabu is injured his knee again.
Another reminder, fans, tonight at the fairgrounds, the NWA Bowl, Tennessee versus Georgia. We got Colorado Kid against Onyx for the World Heavyweight title. We got the wild-eyed Southern boy Tracy Smothers against one half of Bad Attitude Rick Michaels. Sabu goes into his triple jump trademark moonsault, lands right on the Colorado Kid. Oh, but he hurt his knee.
He's been doctoring that knee there a little bit, Corey.
Yeah, but he beat Colorado Kid hurt.
Welcome to another Work in the Indies. I'm your host, Joe Compton, along with the other hosts, the one and only.
Well, the man, the myth, the legend, the man that doesn't need a plan because he is the whole damn plan, Bryan Tann.
And we are joined today, Bryan, with a very special guest who I know needs no introduction, but, you know... Mr. Hartness, Mr. John Hartness, everybody. Tell everybody a little bit about yourself, Mr. Hartness.
Well, I'm a joker. I'm a smoker. I'm a midnight. No, wait. Sorry, I don't want to get us demonetized. Some people do call me Maurice, for I speak of the pompatus of love. I'm John Hartness. I'm the founder and publisher of Falstaff Books. We're an independent press based out of Charlotte, North Carolina. And growing up in Charlotte, North Carolina, means that I'm a lifelong wrestling fan. So yes, I am just happy to be here to talk about some good old-fashioned ass whooping with y'all tonight.
Nice. Well,
yeah, I hear that if you're in North Carolina and you don't like wrestling, then you're just like not allowed to live there anymore.
Can confirm that you can stay in the state if you aren't a wrestling fan because, well, they haven't kicked my wife out yet.
Oh, okay.
But I have enough old school NXT t-shirts for the both of us.
Oh, okay.
So there's a quota, you know, you have to meet.
Fair enough. I understand.
So we're here today. We're going to be talking a little bit about something that John had pitched to me and an idea that he wanted to kind of bring to our attention and present, and with a company that we've actually talked about before. It actually was our first episode of this show. Yeah. We talked about MLW, and but before we do all of that, we just lost a pioneer, a true legend of the game, and somebody who truly deserves his flowers, if not more, the one and only Sabu. And because it is so apropos of what we're talking about today, there'd be no MLW or ECW without Sabu.
If it weren't for Sabu, we would not have gotten my favorite wrestler of all time, and that is Taz.
The
Sabu Taz feud, number one, it put Taz on a whole new level where he was just, you know, another sideshow act that they had in the early days of ECW. He was just another short guy that wasn't going to go anywhere. And then that feud with Sabu really forced him to really become great. And that feud really did a lot more for me than I would have ever thought. You know, that showed me that a guy my size could actually kick the crap out of people on TV. It inspired me to kick the crap out of people twice my size on TV. But Sabu was just toughness personified. Not to mention the fact the scars are like the first thing you see. And Joey Styles, oh my God. Sabu! Oh my God. It made wrestling like ECW and Sabu in the forefront. Look, I understand why people when they talk about ECW and people that made it in ECW, they say Shane Douglas because of that the OG pipe bomb. They give the credit to the Sandman because of what he did, and then Tommy Dreamer and Raven. But I'll tell you what, if Sabu is not in ECW, ECW is nowhere near what it was.
Absolutely agree. Sabu was the first real hardcore wrestler that I ever saw. I mean, I grew up watching Jim Crockett Promotions, so watching somebody get juiced was an every Saturday thing. But what Sabu did, it took Tully and Magnum in the cage in an I Quit match to a whole nother level. And just the speed at which he moved, the moves that he would do, the moves that he would blow and botch and get up, and I'd be sitting there watching that thinking, oh my God, he's dead. No, he's not dead. Oh, how is he not dead? Yeah. The things that he did, and not only do you not get a Taz, but if you don't have a Sabu, you don't have a Rob Van Dam.
Very true. Yep.
If you don't have a Sabu, you don't have a Will Ospreay.
Right.
You don't have a Ricochet. You don't have
the
half
Hardys.
the people that are. You don't have the Hardys, and you don't have the Dudleys, and you don't have Edge and Christian.
No.
The things that he was willing and able to do, it was like Mick Foley, only faster, and his commitment to the character was so perfect.
I didn't hear him speak until like a couple of years ago.
Same.
He was one of the last guys to stay true to kayfabe.
The only person I've ever known with that degree of commitment to the character is Nikita Koloff.
Yeah.
Billy changed his name to Nikita Koloff.
And learned Russian.
I think the Sheik can fall into that category as well.
Iron Sheik and the Sheik, definitely.
Even when he's cursing at Hulk Hogan. But
I don't think Iron Sheik is in a character.
I think that was just him.
I just think that's
him.
Probably.
Yeah. There's living the gimmick, and then there's the gimmick living you.
Yeah.
I did mention that I'm in Charlotte, right? The home of Ric Flair. You want to talk about living the gimmick.
Oh, my God. Apparently, one of our morning radio show here, and on shout out to the guys on a DV morning show. I listen to them every morning. They actually told a story about how a friend of theirs was sexually harassed by Ric Flair. And he actually walked up to the woman and actually asked her if she wanted to ride on Space Mountain with the Nature Boy.
This surprises me not at all.
No, not at all.
It used to be a Wednesday morning ritual that if you went to South Park Mall in Charlotte a little before lunch on Wednesday, you could watch all three of Rick's ex-wives going out spending Rick's money. And it was like watching calendar stair steps because there were 10-year age gaps in each of them. And they were all friends.
The oldest one was walking her daughter.
One of the coolest things about Sabu that I really didn't know until people started reminiscing was how cool he was backstage and how great he was for the talent. I mean, he was a guy that helped, elevate and helped, I mean, he was always a good worker to get people over. But for somebody of his caliber who wasn't always at the top, he was either streaming the mid card or he was, getting over the top guys. He was so helpful backstage from what I understand. And that rings true to good guy doing good things. And I think that's something that Sabu should be recognized for sure.
I mean, the thing is, Sabu was one of those guys that didn't need a title. to be over.
No.
You know, there's guys that need to have a title around their waist. Sabu never needed a singles title.
No.
And even him with a tag title, it didn't look right.
Yeah.
You know, because homicidal, suicidal, genocidal madman does not make friends. Okay.
Yeah, and following the rules of a tag match.
Yeah.
Not.
No.
Come on.
Look, why don't you just tell a lion not to eat a gazelle while you're at it?
Yeah.
Tell
I mean,
Lorelai Gilmore not to drink coffee.
Well,
did you just drop a Gilmore Girls reference on it?
Yes,
I love you so much right now. So much.
Yeah, then you'll get to know me. And then you'll be able to turn.
Oh, no, don't
well,
worry.
I would argue, though, he needs a steel chair to be Sabu, but otherwise...
And a table.
And a table.
Barbed wire.
Barbed wire.
Yeah. R.I.P. Sabu. And,
absolutely.
Thank you so much for everything you gave to the business and everything you did for us and this conversation as well. So thank you, Sabu.
This is Feast Your Eyes. If Dijak hits this, we have a new world champion. The Riddle caught the leg.
Oh!
Got the counter!
And he got it good. Might have broke Dijak's neck.
A KO shot to Dijak. He's not moving.
Don't forget earlier he dumped him on his neck too. That's already
Wait a minute.
weakened.
St. Laurent's got the referee. Get the hell out of here.
What's the referee doing? The referee's hugging him.
What's St. Laurent doing? It's not St. Laurent's gravitational pull. He's doing this on purpose.
Well, the referee needs to turn around.
Well, St. Laurent's got to get out of the city. Oh, no, Dijak.
What happened?
He went downstairs. You
Oh,
saw
he's just picking him up.
You're watching the same monitor I am.
He's just picking him up.
Feast your eyes on that.
There he hit it. Cover him. Hook the leg.
New champion. St. Laurent's plan works. Hey!
Wait a minute.
Lawler.
Wait a minute. What is Tom Lawler doing? He's not even supposed to be out there.
Lawler's doing the right thing.
He's cheating. Where's your honor?
What a world title match at Azteca Lucha.
Mr. Hartness, you brought this to my attention, and so I'm going to let you kind of give us emphasis for why you believe MLW is the new ECW.
Well, let's start with, I understand that MLW is a 20-plus-year-old organization.
Mm-hmm.
I understand that they're not new. But really, who'd heard of them before 5 or 6 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
As we've gotten more streaming services, as they've gotten a bigger and bigger YouTube following, as their production qualities have improved, I have 3 letters that tell you why MLW is the new ECW. MJF. When Shane Douglas threw the NWA World Title on the ground and ECW really began, ECW was an innovator.
Mm-hmm.
And ECW brought us people that we were never going to see in the big 2. Every single person that has ever popped for Rey Mysterio owes a debt to Paul Heyman.
Facts.
Everybody that's ever shaken Chris Jericho's hand, myself included, owes a debt to Paul Heyman. None of these guys would have been the big deal.
Mm-hmm.
Eddie Guerrero would not have made it into a big Fed.
There would have been no Stone Cold Steve Austin
I was
without
just getting ready to make that point. Steve Austin never would have been Stone Cold.
Mick Foley would have just been a fat guy who kicked ass in Japan.
Yep.
Terry Funk would have been obscure wrestling and really
Terry Funk, I would disagree with that.
Well, Terry Funk wouldn't have been, becoming the hardcore icon, that really became even more to light when he was doing his stuff with ECW, because before he was just this tough bunkhouse brawler.
He wouldn't have been relevant into his 50s and 60s and 70s.
Yes, that's fair.
But he was an NWA World Heavyweight Champion.
Yes, he was.
And he had probably 2 of the greatest matches of Ric Flair's career in the history of NWA.
But he was still a traditional wrestler with a bit more of a brawler. It was the ECW that he became hardcore icon.
MLW has either brought in and built up or brought back into wrestling. If it weren't for MLW, we don't have Tony Schiavone again.
True.
Tony Schiavone was calling baseball at University of Georgia, and MLW brought Tony Schiavone back to us. And thank you, Court. Thank you for that. People like C.W. Anderson, who was an old school ECW guy.
Yeah.
And now he's one of the Rogue Horsemen. MJF was gold in MLW. The Von Erichs. Hell, it's the only time I've ever been able to see Teddy Hart wrestle on television.
Oh, man.
And people like Mystico. The commitment to Lucha Libre.
I'll throw one name in there that everybody knows now, and that's Jacob Fatu. There
would be no
Jacob Fatu
Yeah.
without
oh, my
MLW.
God, yeah. WWE wouldn't touch him.
Nope.
No, they
would not touch him because he had a record.
But Court knew the value of the Samoans and what they could do, and that's certainly...
And seeing something in what Jacob Fatu. I mean, Jacob Fatu he has the potential to be bigger than Yoko and Roman.
He will be the second biggest name in the Anoa'i family before he's done.
I agree. I mean, he's not going to upseat Dwayne.
Nobody's beaten the highest paid movie star in Hollywood.
But I think that him and Roman are going to be 2A and 2B for sure.
Yeah.
And honestly, and I'm going to call it now, I think Solo is starting to come into his own. He's going to be right.
You keep saying that.
I do. I have faith in him. I have faith in him. He's very entertaining.
I think Zillow wipes the floor with all of them eventually, but
I think Solo is Rosie.
Ouch.
I mean,
ouch.
I think he's the most boring Uso.
That hurts.
I'm sorry.
You know why I have so much faith in him? Because the way he was marketed and pushed in NXT, it was like Taz and Samoa Joe had a baby. So I think that's why I had such a soft spot.
Samoa Joe, the greatest Samoan who's not an Anoa'i.
And the best no-seller in the business. Like, hey, you're jumping? Nope. I'm just not going to be there. No.
No.
Man, you know what it was? It was probably like when I first walked in, my very first day. It was crazy. Me, Joseph Kabibbo, Mance Warner, and man, we all got signed that same week, and we were all on the same show. So one of the most exciting was hold on. I mean, mind you, bro, I've been there for 5-6 years. You know, it didn't really just help me build my career, but just first, I'm sorry because I always do this. Is when I walked in MLW the first time, really when I actually signed the contract, you know, and then I walked in and to see the stage, see the platform, see 2300 arena, you know, so to see all that, it just worked out. It turned out good.
MLW, they picked up the pieces of Lucha Underground and incorporated all of that story into their broadcast, even with the Boss, and they've got the Azteca Lucha. They've brought in the minis. They've brought in all of the aspects.
There's one name you're really relenting not to say, and that's Mr. Alex Hammerstone.
He's so good.
He's so good.
So good. I mean, literally, the man sweat on me in a match. I got my very first ever front row ringside seats were MLW in Charlotte.
Nice.
You can see me getting into it with 5150 and their manager, just jaw-jacking back and forth. The main event, he flung into the guardrail so hard the bicycle rack bent and never straightened up the rest of the night.
If you want to see what Alex Hammerstone's all about, watch him fight Jacob Fatu. You want to talk about beef sirloin sons of bitches going at it. Those two guys hammered the fuck out of each other.
I'm looking at this picture of Alex Hammerstone, and I'm wondering when Nails and Frankenstein's monster had a baby. Because, Jesus.
There was a rumor running around he was Scott Steiner's illegitimate child for a while, but
it didn't surprise me.
I'd buy it. I mean,
I'll tell you what, though. I got to give a little bit, too, because, I mean, you know, well, He was known in the Fed as Baron Corbin. He's now known as Bishop Dyer.
Yeah.
He's finding a place for himself, which I think is great. Because he was
Dijakovic is too.
Yeah. And
you're leaving out the champ, Matt Riddle.
I was just getting ready to say, and then you got Matt Riddle, the other half of RK Bro, as the world champion.
Here's the thing about MLW that we didn't cover the first time, that they've rebranded themselves recently. If you go to their website, they don't call them wrestlers, their roster wrestlers, they call them fighters. And they're trying to kind of give this combat blood sport-esque look to what they're doing, and they just had like this massive steel cage event where they put them all in steel cage.
Chamber.
Yeah, and just let them beat the shit out of each other until one person was left standing.
The War Chamber was weird this year, though, because usually it's like an old school War Games match where it's two rings. And this year it was one, and it looked odd.
It did, and it had that kind of TNA like octagon feel to it a little bit too. I think that's what they're going for. They're trying to kind of mimic a UFC-ish fighter pit kind of mentality.
Yeah, they've got this new thing called MLW Underground. And I haven't watched that yet. I've been watching the main program a good bit because the main program still feels like pro wrestling.
I think the one thing that is hampering MLW is the women's division at this point, though. I mean, it is a little weak. I mean, from what I saw on the fighter page, they have 5 active women right now, and they just rotate them into like bringing like a Tessa Blanchard in every once in a while to work with them and stuff like that.
They've got a partnership with Japanese Joshi Pro. And their current featherweight champ is from Japanese Joshi Pro.
Nakajima, right?
Yes. She's fantastic. Her whole gimmick is that she's the giant kaiju and she's like 4'10".
I mean, awesome. Delmy is still there. So
Delmy XO is still there. Yeah.
She's a super. I always felt like she was a star in the making. She's kind of plateaued a little bit in MLW.
I think one thing that hurts them a little is their luchadors, honestly. And I love me some lucha libre, but these guys aren't clean.
Yeah.
These guys are sloppy, and they're using too many lucha legends too often. We just saw this amazing Worlds Collide thing with AAA and WWE. We got reminded of how amazing people like Laredo Kid are.
Well, El Iguana is the hottest thing on the planet right now. So
he's my new favorite wrestler, man. and yes, Layeska. I mean, he just stole the hearts of everybody and was amazing. And we got a good look at Octagon Jr. And then in MLW, we've got Dark Panther and Blue Panther Jr., and they're not on the same level.
No. I think they could bolster their women's roster with some of the current releases at WWE. They have all these ex-WWE guys, ex-AEW guys, and they're pushing those guys pretty hard right now. And it's kind of hurting the young crowd because it looks, I mean, we just got and it's a great program. Don't get me wrong. Dijak versus Riddle is a great program, but it is hurting the fact that they're not putting over any of these younger. Where they were succeeding was when Fatu had the belt and he was wrestling Nick Aldis, he was wrestling Cody Rhodes, he was wrestling guys that were already over, but he was still holding to the belt at the end of the day.
Well, that's what a lot of new companies. I mean, TNA had the same issue; they still have it sometimes. AEW had that same problem. WWE guys get released wherever they go, they're automatically over. Not because not saying any of these people aren't talented. I mean, obviously they are. They're getting booked. But they got released for a reason. And then when you bring in an outsider, you forget about your people that have, got you to the dance, because now you got the shiny toy. And I get it. You want to put the people out there that are going to eyeballs on the screen and butts in the seats at the shows. I get it. It's very, very difficult to walk that fine line.
And it is a very fine line. And And MLW took some hits. I mean, they lost Fatu to WWE, which we all knew was going to happen eventually. They lost Hammerstone for a year and change or 2 years to TNA. They lost Holiday to cancer. I mean, that guy was gold on the mic and strong in the ring. And then he got cancer and is fighting cancer. So I hope he recovers. I hope he gets back in the ring. And if not, I just hope he lives a happy and healthy life. But that's
their women's roster took a huge hits too. They had Willow Nightingale for a while. They had a bunch of people now in AEW that
they had Taya Valkyrie for a while. And I feel like also there's fan service to ownership going on. Kojima don't need to be featured on every episode of your show. Yeah. Because Kojima's a legend, because Kojima's also old. Myron Reed, the young goat, lives up to his name every time he steps in the ring. Feature him more than you're featuring Cozy Max. Mystico ain't no spring chicken either. And he's kind of a botch machine nowadays. So...
yeah, I'm looking at it. I mean, they got Kushida on their roster. Talk about guys who've been around the block. God, Ultima Guerrero,
right?
Minority
Bishop Dyer isn't a young guy. He's been around for a lot longer than I think most of us realize.
Yeah,
Bobby Fish. He's Paul London.
Yeah. Paul London is one of those. It's like wow.
But Ultimo Guerrero does not need to be your national openweight champion.
No, and why you want to talk about fleet of foot? Why isn't Aero Dominguez? Is that how he goes right by now? No, he was. Why isn't he being featured more? This young man has he walks the ropes. He does the star splashes and all the great all the great things that all these young guys are doing now. I mean, he's very much a Darby Allin without the crash test dummy gimmick.
Yeah,
right.
This Akira kid is really good.
Well, only 5'2", like 150. He can't afford to do all that silly crap that Darby Allin does because his poor spine will fall off. It's not going to snap.
Darby Allin's not that much bigger, brother.
That's true, but I mean, I'll tell you what, man. That's a guy too that when I do watch Darby Allin work, I'm just like, how are you still walking?
I just pulled up a guy, Matthew Justice. I've never even seen this guy on. I've watched probably 5 episodes of MLW in the last 2 months. I've never seen him on TV at all.
I've actually seen him quite a bit, and he's pretty great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a guy, 220, 6'2". I mean, he looks like a guy that you could get over pretty easily just by looking at him.
Yeah, his whole thing is he's in the feud against the Rogue Horsemen.
Okay.
And that's Brett Ryan Gosling, Brock Anderson, C.W. Anderson, and Bobby Fish. One of these things is not like the other.
Always had like this 10% margin of our roster where it's just good to have free agents to mix it up so you're not kind of stuck with the same guys just going around and wrestling each other. So, whether that was in 2018 or 19 with like Brody King and those kind of guys, or in recent times with like Killer Cross, it just adds flexibility. It helps us when we can bring in star power, and we know they're here for X amount of dates, and then they know there's a beginning, middle, and end, and we know the beginning, middle, end, so we can give our fans a satisfying ending. But it's nice in this time and age where you can do those kind of things. And so, it's been good for us. Tonight was a great opportunity because we had the open door policy, and then you have new friends and old alliances and things like Impact, and then Dragon Gate and AAA. And it's great. It's great for the fans. It's great for us. It's great for the Battle Riot.
They did a great job of building Jacob Fatu to that level. He was not that when he got there. He was green. And then when they put the strap on, they fast tracked him. He came into his own and really shined, and that's when you saw it, which is really comforting because I think a guy like Dijak or Baba Thunder, who was Dabo Kato in NXT, most people would know. I think those are guys that could shine, and those guys are big enough to get guys that are smaller, like an Ariel Dominguez and guys like that, all over. but those guys can still do their shit and get their work in. And yeah, they're going to lose, but that's how you build them. That's how you get them step by step. And I think MLW is just missing that little bit right now. And if they had that, they would be really, really interesting. An interesting watch right now. I mean, they're an interesting watch.
I think
now,
the business as a whole is missing that. I really think that wrestling as a whole are missing the jobber squash matches to help put people over. You know, these rosters are so, bloated anymore that it's hard to have someone put someone over and make them look dominant.
In the indies, it's even harder because you lose those guys. They'll go work somewhere else if you're going to just keep jobbing them out. So,
right.
I mean, they're already working for peanuts. It's not like they're going to, if you're working for peanuts and you're not going to get over and sell any merch.
It's why I think Billy Corgan doesn't get enough credit, because he does a lot of that in NWA. And those guys are he's really starting to build something strong again. He lost it during the pandemic, and the pandemic really killed him. It wasn't his fault in a lot of ways.
Damn it, Billy Corgan. Why did you not stop COVID?
But I think Court Bauer is smelling some money right now. And I think, it's like, you're just right there. You're right there, MLW. You're right there. You're right there to being the new TNA, the up and coming, the new ECW. I think they are trying to frame. I love that idea, John, because I think they are trying to frame themselves as something different and unique.
Right.
But they're just not utilizing the people that they need to utilize. That's the great thing about the Sabus. We didn't know who Sabu was until we all tuned in, and he beat the shit out of Taz. He beat the shit out of Shane Douglas. And that was like, Shane Douglas put him over, and that was it.
The most over guys in ECW were terrified of Sabu. It didn't matter who you were. Like, if Sabu was coming after you, you knew to be freaked the hell out. Even guys like
the exact opposite with the Sandman. Everybody's like, "Oh, Sandman, he's a joke."
Oh, it's a Sandman. You know what? We have about the entire length of the song for him to come out, and by the time he gets here, he's going to be ripped. So screw it.
We'll be all right.
Yeah, I mean, you had when Bam Bam was there for a while. Bam Bam was a huge star. That was a big get for ECW, but he knew how to work the landscape. You know what I mean? Now, granted, I don't recall if Sabu and Bam Bam ever had worked together in a match, but if Sabu was involved, it was like, oh no, it's real now.
Yeah, absolutely. And Bam Bam because Bam Bam was in Triple Threat with Shane Douglas and Chris Candido.
Yep.
And
my favorite iteration.
And those guys, Bam Bam was the biggest star in WWF at the time of those three guys.
Easily.
I mean, Dean Douglas.
Yeah.
Chris
Candido never got over. He could
no.
And that's sad because he was so talented.
He was. I mean, God rest 2 out of the 3 of those guys. I mean, Bammer and Candido.
Yeah.
But they were so talented, and I agree that MLW is missing some pieces right now. If they could pick up a couple of people that just got cut loose, and not Braun Strowman.
Right.
Look, good luck, Adam Scherr, my Carolina brother. I hope because he's from like 45 minutes from where I live. So I wish him the best, but I mean, he's not what MLW needs.
No, they need the Kokai. They need the smaller tier. The second wave of those. A lot of the NXT folks who got cut, I think, would be beneficial in MLW. I think a lot of those guys could get over pretty good.
Casey Catanzaro.
Yeah, that's a great one. Her and Kane Carter. I mean, let's start a tag team division in MLW, right? I mean, you got opportunity.
Or hell, the two of them already know how each other works. Bring one of them in put the belt on her, then bring the other one in
The feud.
Yeah.
and feud. Hey, you abandoned me. I
Yeah.
thought you were my sister and you left me.
We have
Boom.
not seen that yet from the two of them, and that was the missing element for me. I thought they had a moment like about 4 or 5 years ago when they were thinking, when they teased them turning on each other, and then just never pulled the trigger on it. And I thought that was a mistake.
I think you're both absolutely right. I think picking from the low, you got to pick from the lower tier of those releases, especially.
Yeah, because the other guys aren't going to get you any more ratings than you already have.
No. And and the great thing about it is these are young folks that need the work. Give them the exposure, and guess what? Now you have a loyal keystone. You have something that you're building on now. So that way, if you start getting sick of Matt Riddle backstage, guess what? You've been building up this young person, which you will. But now you've been building this person who's learned in the Fed, but hasn't become jaded to the point where, no, I'm not putting anybody over. And they're working hard because they love the business. And guess what? Now you have someone that you can make a new star. And now you're taking the company to the next level.
And John, correct me if I'm wrong, but is Court Bauer still booking the shows? Is he still involved?
As far as I know, yeah.
That's the one advantage they have. He's a guy who is taking guys in WWE and built them mid. He was the guy that Vince asked to build the mid card in his time at WWE, and he did that. He brought a lot of those guys to prominence, and he did that with Jacob Fatu. He's the guy who can do. He's the difference between what NWA does and what GCW does, and all these other smaller independents that are just on that other tier, on that ledge of being big independents. He's the guy who can take a guy like an Ariel Dominguez and raise the level and make him huge, because he knows how to do that.
I mean, he made Hammerstone.
Yeah, he really did.
I don't know what happened with Hammerstone in TNA. I don't know if they just didn't use him, didn't know how to use him, if there were injuries. I wasn't really paying attention to TNA when Hammer was there.
I think they were going through their upheaval at that moment, and I think they just lost. Yeah. They just lost their TV, and then that's when I think WWE kind of smelled blood and kind of jumped in and said, "Hey, partner with us. We got you back."
Right. Talent sizes to certain arenas.
Yes.
Hammerstone is not a 20,000 seat arena guy.
No.
And none of the people on MLW's roster are 20,000 seat arena guys.
No.
Matt Riddle might be the exception, but as mentioned, there are some issues with Riddle.
I think if you book Baba Thunder right, you might get him to that level, but he's far from it.
There's a lot of money to be made in 2,000 seat halls.
Absolutely.
A lot of the lucha stuff that they're doing doesn't work because small venues are so unforgiving for botches.
Right.
Yeah.
It's so much more apparent when you only go 15 rows back.
Yeah.
Right.
And also when the audience is a lot is
right
a lot
there,
smarter, and they'll call it out, right?
And it's all smart mark idiots like us.
A bunch of smart marks that are sitting practically on top of the ring. You can't not miss it. But I mean, when you're talking about stuff like this, let's take a guy in WWE who's never gonna get past the mid card. Really, look at a guy like Chad Gable. If he was in MLW, can you imagine how brightly he would shine?
Chad Gable not being a world champion is one of the great injustices of WWE.
It's because, like, look, WWE may not be the land of the giants anymore, but it's still the land of tall people.
Yeah,
I would argue that Sami Zayn is the biggest injustice right now, but they might be headed. He might be heading toward prominence.
Sami Zayn's still super over, and he's had a lot of belts.
He doesn't need a title. He doesn't need a title.
I think he just had bad luck in where he fell in the food chain as far as Roman Reigns goes. But they had a moment where they could have put the belt on him, and unfortunately, because Roman Reigns had to break the record and he had to pass Hogan, that was the moment that they missed it.
Yeah, well, I think that number one, you had Roman Reigns on the SmackDown side. You had Seth Rollins making the world heavyweight title.
There's no argument that you can't say he didn't deserve to get over. It's just
it's just that it just was never the right time. I think that if Sami Zayn is in any other company, he's at least a 3-time world champion.
Absolutely.
Chad Gable is a 3-time world champion in any other company. I mean, the WWE.
Not only that, but I think Chad Gable holds the belt for like a couple of years. You know,
that kind of.
I think Chad Gable. I think the way to use Chad. Well, there's 2 options with Chad Gable now.
Mm-hmm.
One, this Grande Americano thing.
Hey! You're not going to come on our show with fake news, okay? They are not the same person. I am tired of this propaganda.
The confusion surrounding Grande Americano can elevate Chad Gable. But the other thing that they could do with Gable is what they did with Miz right before the pandemic and use Gable and Zayn and Miz and reestablish the IC title as something we care about.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because we cared for about 15 minutes when Gunther had it.
Yeah.
And once Gunther dropped it to move on, which is what you're supposed to do, that's what the IC title was for. It's just like, I don't even know who the damn champ is now.
I was literally about to say the very same thing. I have no idea who the champ is.
It's Dominic Mysterio, you all.
Oh, right.
How did I forget? It was a big deal for like a nanosecond.
Yeah, he got a big pop when he won. It's the first time anybody cheered for Dominic since he grew a mustache.
And who's he feuding with to make that belt mean something? How many times has he defended it?
He's defended it quite a bit, but it hasn't mattered.
All right. So
far, the interesting thing he's done was Octagon Jr. last weekend.
Yeah.
You know what?
I mean, he defended it. He's defended it twice against Penta, and they've squeezed out of that one. They've managed.
But the idea of Dom as the world's greatest luchador, if he leans into that more and more and more, now that they've got this AAA,
how do we know he's not Grande Americano?
Because
he's a little too tall for Grande Americano.
I don't.
You could not keep that mullet under a mask.
I will say this though. I think that MLW. I mean, Court Bauer. He's got that proven track record. He's shown he knows what he's doing. And I really, really hope that there's a brilliant little scheme behind what he's doing with this right now.
I'll just say this. Court, call me.
Hey, I'll take
ideas. I got a lot of writing experience. I got a degree in theater. I know how to teach people how to build characters.
Hell, you know how to get the lighting right, John.
That is also correct.
I have a 16-year-old son who's 5'11", 260 that is training in. He wants to be a high school wrestler. He goes, Dad, I'm going to the Olympics, and I'm like, damn right you are.
Nice.
My kid could be your new world champion, Court. Just saying.
Let's go, Court. You call us up.
Yeah.
We'll fix all your problems.
There will be no Nepo booking on my end, I promise.
I make no such promises. I also don't have any kids.
There you go.
Well, Mr. Hartness, it was an absolute pleasure having you here. Thank you so much for joining us and talking wrestling with us. We really appreciate it. And
guys, I had a great time.
Come back anytime. I'm willing to say.
I will be here as often as y'all will have me. You just shoot me a topic, give me a couple of weeks notice, and I'll YouTube the crap out of it.
Could be anybody.
We'll
anybody who's 5'3".
Listen. Okay.
I mean, hey, maybe it's Layla Hirsch.
Well, look, it's just like Terry Bollea was not Mr. America. Okay.
Fair enough.
Or Andre the Giant was not the Giant Machine. Now that's in your way back machine.
And Ric Flair was never the Black Spider.
Exactly.
No, Black Scorpion.
Black Scorpion, and Dusty Rhodes was never the Midnight Rider.
No.
Exactly.
No.
I mean, look, I'm glad that we can get some common ground on this.
Yeah.
Besmirching two great actors.